Hi friends, Miss Liz here. Okay, so this week I'm going to show you how to adapt your basic cocoa mix into making a couple of different flavors. So the two flavors I'm going to show you today are a salted caramel and then also a peppermint. Now, both of these are my personal preferences on how to adapt these. There are tons of different ideas on how to do this if you look online, but this is just how I do it. So to start with, for the caramel one, I use a caramel coffee creamer powder, and you can use, there's all different kinds. Sometimes I do the Coffee Mate caramel latte. It just depends on what I can find in store that week. And this is what my store had this week, which is caramel macchiato. So this one has a little bit more of what I think of as a caramel mocha flavor, because it has a little bit of almost like a coffee taste. But it's absolutely delicious with the chocolate. So I'm going to be using that. And then they also make these caramel melt pieces. So you can buy the caramels that come in little cubes and they're wrapped, and those would work fine too if you wanted to cut those up into pieces. I find these to be way easier. My bag's opened upside down. Caramel bits. And so they come in unwrapped little balls. My daughter actually says that she thinks they look like little chickpeas. But these melt a lot quicker because they're smaller pieces and you don't have to unwrap them. So this is what I use. Now, again, my personal preference, you can definitely adapt this to your taste. I've also done where you can get caramel-filled little chocolate bars, like the Ghirardelli squares that have caramel in them. You can also put one of those into your cocoa bomb. That's delicious as well. Whatever your preference is. So that's what I'm going to be doing for the caramel ones. So for the caramel, I have my basic shells, just like what we've been making. The same process of filling the shell with the chocolate, setting it, putting it in the freezer, doing a second coat, and then popping them out. So exact same thing we did that first week, okay? And then I have my pie plate here that I'm gonna be using to seal them. So I'm just gonna put that in my microwave so that it can get nice and warm. And my marshmallows as well, okay? And then I have some little paper liners that I'm gonna use, just like that, and my sprinkles to decorate. Now, sprinkles are totally whatever your preference is. You don't have to do sprinkles if you don't want to. I enjoy sprinkles, I just think they're fun. So I'm gonna grab a bowl while that's heating up to put my sprinkles in so I can roll my bomb. Okay, so I'm just gonna pour a few sprinkles into my bowl here. Just makes it a little bit easier than trying to pour sprinkles onto the cocoa bomb. I think this works a little better. All right, so my pie plate's nice and warm. So what I'm gonna do here is I've got my pie plate, I have my shells. Okay, I'm gonna move these out of the way because I'm gonna use those for peppermint. So I wanna make sure I have all of my supplies handy before I start this process, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use my classic cocoa mix from the first class, my caramel powder, and then some of these caramel pieces, and of course, marshmallows. All right, so I'm gonna take one of my shells, turn it upside down on the hot plate, melt the edge so it's nice and melted. And I'm gonna do 2 tablespoons of the cocoa mix. And then I'm also gonna do 1 tablespoon of this caramel coffee creamer powder. Okay, 1 tablespoon. I'm gonna do it over this in case I spill a little. It's a little bit overflowing, but that's okay because our lid's gonna dome. And then I'm gonna do a nice few swirls here. Now, this is totally up to you. If you want to just put the marshmallows in the lid, that's fine. You can also put a few of these caramel ball pieces in. I put them on the top because I think it makes it look cute. I'm just gonna clamshell that over. Got a marshmallow popping out there. Then I'm gonna squeeze that, smooth the edge, and roll in my sprinkles. Now, if I don't have a lot of extra melted chocolate on the edge from sealing it, I can definitely pipe more on if I want those sprinkles to really stick. but I can do it just like that. And then I can take my chocolate drizzle and use that as glue, or I can take a little bit of this melted from the pan and just kind of swipe that on and use that as glue for my little bits here, these caramel bits. So if you want to do a drizzle, like what we've done before in the classic, you can definitely do that. Sometimes I just like to put these little balls on like it's glue. Just like that. So I've kind of added, they kind of look like a mistletoe bunch there, like that on the top. So like I said, you can add some of those caramel pieces into the shell if you want. If you find you don't have a lot of space, you can just put them on the top and it looks super cute that way, okay? Super easy. That's what I do for the caramel, okay? Now for the peppermint ones, just gonna move my caramel stuff out of the way here. For the peppermint ones, I use either candy canes or these Starlight mints that you get in the wrappers. Either way, we're gonna have to take the wrapper off and we're gonna use a blender or a food processor. Now, make sure you have permission from your adult at your home to use whatever electronic equipment for crushing these mints, because some blenders are not strong enough to handle crushing candy and I don't want anyone to burn out a motor or chip a blade. So make sure that you have a approval from an adult to use whatever you're using. So how many mints you crush is totally up to how many you want to make of that flavor. If I crush an entire 10-ounce bag of these mints, which ends up being 50 to 60 mints, that is enough for me to make about 20 peppermint bombs. I'm only going to do a few today, just to show you what we're doing. So I put them in my blender cup. I'm going to screw on the lid. And then I'm just going to pulse until they're all crushed. Shake. So we've got a nice crushed mint candy powder. There might be a few chunks in there. That's okay, because that's still going to melt down in our bomb. So I've got that all ground up and ready. So I'm going to do the exact same thing. Make sure my plate's nice and warm. And I'm going to take my bomb and melt the edge, just like I did before. 2 tablespoons of cocoa mix. And then 2 teaspoons of the crushed mint candy. Now you can do 3 teaspoons, which would be a tablespoon if you want it to be really, really minty. I like it to be a little more subtle, so I just do 2 teaspoons. Then I'm gonna melt the top, get a nice gooey edge, throw in some marshmallows. Now you can also use peppermint marshmallows if you can find those. Depending on the season, you can't always find them, but peppermint marshmallows are also delicious in this. Sandwich it over, just like that, and then take a finger swipe around the edge. And you can either roll this in some of your crushed peppermints to give it a nice, cute sprinkle look with peppermints, or you can use regular sprinkles again, okay? And then you can do your little drizzle and sprinkle some crushed peppermint on the top to make it look super cute. Or you can do like I did before with the caramel, just do a little swipe like that. Get my spoon out here. And just do a little dollop on the top. Whatever your preference is, play around with it, see what you want to do. But those are some super easy ways to adapt the flavor using some of the skills we already practiced. If you have questions, please feel free to send me a message, but this is a really simple way to adapt and give you more flavor options with the things that you've already been able to create, okay? As always, send me a message, post in the classroom if there's anything I can help you with, and enjoy your cocoa bombs.